Basically, a static page or a dynamic post page usually has a heading, a really good simple excerpt. It will have an image and it will have some content inside that, and it will have some sidebar just like this one. Okay, so in order to work with that, what we can do is we can take this default page, and I'm going to save this as, I'm going to call this as post. Okay, and this is going to be the post page. And okay, we're going to keep the banner. So inside this, we're going to add a paragraph tag, and that will be more like an excerpt. So let's get back over here and I get rid of this one. Let's see how that looks. Okay, so this is our excerpt, and then we don't need the list here. Instead of this, we need the huge image first. So I'm going to get back to my code, and here we have the list, right? So let's get rid of this list completely, and I get rid of this one. And here what we can do is we can add a simple Img tag which will show the image. So let's get back to our index. So this is the image that we want to display. Just copy this and paste it over here. We want it to be responsive. Say class Img fluid. Okay, so we can give an alternative name. I'm just going to call this as something. Okay, so I'm going to change this to 1200 by 630. Okay, that will be something much more simpler for us to cover up the entire post image there. Okay, so let's see how that looks. Let's get back to our browser. Let's hit refresh, and you can see that we got the image. It's huge and it's nice, and we need to make the corners more rounded. So what we can do is we can get back to our code here. I'm gonna call this as rounded. Save that. Let's get back to our page. Let's hit refresh. Okay, so we got the rounded image. Now we need some paragraphs over here just to display. So I'm gonna get back to my code and let's add in some content. So what we're gonna do is right after this, I'm going to create a div. I'm gonna call this as content, and here we're gonna add some h2 tag because we already have a h1 on the top, so we don't need h1 again. I'm gonna call this as lorem, and again I don't need such a huge text. I'm gonna get rid of most of the stuff here. Okay, and let's add in some paragraphs. Say lorem, and I want it around like 3 paragraphs inside that. Okay, and let's just tap this a little bit. Let me format this. Okay, so I'm just gonna copy this one and paste it here and here, and this I'm going to change this to h3. Okay, we already have h4 in the title somewhere, yeah, here, so we don't need h4 again. So instead I'm going to add h5. Now basically when you're working with any kind of template, you have to make sure that all the headings are present inside the post. So let's save this and let's get back over here. Let's hit refresh. Let's see how that looks. Okay, the post looks pretty good, and we have the image, we have the post. Okay, so we need some really huge spacing here. So for the image, I'm going to call this as MB3. Let's save that. Let's see how much spacing does that add. Okay, that's enough spacing which we have over here, and that looks pretty good actually now. So now that we have our post page, next we're going to create our normal page, that is a static page. Now usually that doesn't make much of a difference. It's going to be the same thing. The only thing is that it's going to be called as page instead of a post. So let's go ahead and let's save this as page. Okay, so we have a page there, and let's hit refresh. Great, that looks pretty good.